Hello, folks. Today we want to take a look at a few verses from Jeremiah chapter 16 and verse 14 through chapter 17 and verse 8. Thank you for joining me. Don't you love Jeremiah's expression of hope in chapter 16 verses 14 and 15? He says, "People used to guarantee their oaths by the Lord who brought his people out of Egypt, but the day is coming when they will guarantee their oaths by the one who will once again redeem Israel and restore them to their land. With God nothing is impossible, and there is always hope." We have three great titles for the Lord in verse 19: my strength, my stronghold, and my refuge. And here we find the promise that the nations of the world will turn to the Lord. You know, the Old Testament is full of references which say that ancient Israel regarded the mission of Israel to be worldwide. And don't you love the personal affirmation of trust in God rather than in human beings that we find in chapter 17, verses 5 through 8? You know, poetry, Hebrew poetry, is full of parallelism, and we find that in chapter 17 and verse 5. Man is parallel to flesh, and trust is parallel to make his strength, or makes his strength. So what we have here is an elaboration upon what it means to trust in the Lord. The one who trusts in the Lord makes him his or her strength. What is it that makes us strong? It is the Lord. The figure of the shrub in the desert. Now, that's a vivid one. When good, perhaps it's rain, comes, this person does not see it. It passes him by. He remains dry and useless. But in contrast stands the person who is blessed because she or he trusts in the Lord. The Lord is the focal point of his or her confidence. Now, both the shrub and the tree experience the drought, but the shrub has no deep roots, whereas the tree does. So the tree outlasts the drought and continues to produce fruit. Does that not sound like Psalm number 1? Or perhaps it reminds you of Matthew chapter 7 and the parable of the wise and the foolish builders. Now the application. First of all, I want to say that we too have a worldwide mission, don't we? And this is something that we must never forget. Unless the idea that having a worldwide mission overwhelms us, we can start in our own neighborhoods, can't we? And take the good news of Jesus to our own neighbors and our own friends. We, though, have a worldwide mission. Let's not forget it. Number 2, when hard times come, we'll be ready. Because like that productive tree, our roots are sunk deeply into God. Our confidence is in Him. Thus, we will not only survive, but we will be productive no matter what comes. So, would we rather be an old stumpy shrub in the desert, or a tree whose roots grow deep and that is productive in every season of the year? Well, we know the answer to that question, don't we? Those who trust in God are productive and fruitful. Now for a brief preview of chapter 17, verses 9 through 27. God knows the heart. That's chapter 17, verses 9 through 11. And I want to encourage us to read this particular text in the context of chapter 15, where Jeremiah complains about his adversity and really takes pity upon himself. The hope of Israel is the Lord. That's verses 12 and 13. And we have yet another meaningful confession and lament of Jeremiah in chapter 17, verses 15 through 18. We'll enjoy meditating on that text. And we close out chapter 17 with a very interesting passage about keeping the Sabbath day. Thanks for joining me today, and may God bless you in your reading and your meditation and in your prayers.